Something shocking just went down in Senegal, and the tremors are being felt across the continent. What began as a seemingly unshakable alliance, a partnership forged in shared revolutionary ideals, is now cracking open in full public view. Last week, Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko dominated headlines after dropping a political bombshell. In a fiery statement, Sonko openly criticized President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, accusing him of weak leadership. According to Sonko, President Faye has failed to defend him against relentless attacks from the opposition. Even more shockingly, he claims that Faye has abandoned their shared revolutionary vision, the very foundation that propelled them to power. So the big question is, how did a once unshakable partnership spiral into this level of tension? What's truly happening behind the scenes in Dakar? Stay with us, because the answer might change everything you thought you knew about Senegal's new political era. On July 10, 2025, Senegal's ruling party, PASTEF, marked its 11th anniversary in Dakar. It was intended to be a celebration, a moment to reflect on the party's journey and its ascent to power. Instead, the event transformed into a political earthquake. Why? Because President Bassirou Diomaye Faye was conspicuously absent. While the party gathered in Dakar, Faye was thousands of miles away in the United States, meeting with President Trump. And then, the unexpected happened. Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, the fiery populist known for his bold pronouncements, took the stage. What followed left the entire audience stunned. Instead of delivering a unifying speech or celebrating the party's achievements, Sonko went on the offensive. He called out the president publicly and unapologetically. According to Sonko, Senegal's biggest problem is a lack of authority. He accused President Faye of failing to lead with strength, leaving the government vulnerable to relentless attacks from the opposition. And then came the bombshell statement that reverberated through the room. We will see if things happen like this. I call on Bassirou Faye. He just has to take responsibility. Otherwise, he will let me govern. He will let me govern. I'm very clear. These are not just strong words. They're a direct challenge to the president's authority. And the fact that Sonko chose to make this statement publicly on the party's anniversary tells us one thing. There is deep trouble brewing at the top of Senegal's leadership. Let us pause for a moment to express our sincere gratitude to the African Intel community, your trusted gateway to authentic African voices, powerful stories, and enduring legacies that continue to inspire and uplift. From what we can gather, the cracks in Senegal's leadership run deeper than a mere disagreement. It appears that Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko is frustrated with President Faye's leadership style, a style he perceives as too laid-back, too passive for a country in urgent need of radical change. Sonko believes that Faye's inaction is undermining the very vision they promised to deliver together, a vision built on fundamental reform, genuine sovereignty, and a definitive break from foreign domination. Remember, it's been over a year since Bassirou Diomaye Faye became president. And yet, what has truly changed? When he campaigned, Faye made bold promises to rehabilitate Senegal's institutions, restore the country's authority, and most importantly, eradicate France's deep-rooted influence. But what's the reality today? Apart from one major step, the withdrawal of French troops, there's little tangible progress to show for those promises. And let's be honest, even that move was heavily pushed by Sonko, who has always been the loudest voice against France's dominance. In fact, Sonko's stance on France has been so unwavering that after their election victory, Paris reportedly placed him on their watch list, a testament to how much they feared his influence. But instead of keeping France at arm's length, as they had both promised, President Faye has seemingly done the opposite. Last year, he made his first official visit to Paris, claiming the goal was to redefine Senegal's relationship with France. And earlier this year, during the International Conference on Financing for Development, Faye met with the French president yet again. To Sonko and many of his fervent supporters, this feels like a profound betrayal of their revolutionary ideals. The question now is, has President Faye abandoned the revolutionary agenda that brought him to power, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? According to official reports, both presidents, Faye and Macron, attempted to project a unified front during their meetings. They expressed a shared commitment to strengthening cooperation between Senegal and France, with discussions reportedly focusing on economic partnerships, security, culture, and even historical remembrance. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye himself stated, "Our discussions focused on cooperation between Senegal and France, as well as regional and international issues of common interest." From the French side, President Emmanuel Macron confirmed that the Franco-Senegalese partnership is undergoing a major overhaul. In his words, "It must allow us to move forward together in the service of the interests of our peoples and our sovereignty." He went further, listing the pillars of this renewed relationship: economic, security and defense, cultural and memorial partnerships. Macron emphasized, "These are all projects that we are closely monitoring with President Faye," even praising Senegal for its commitment to regional stability and addressing major global challenges. On paper, this all sounds positive, right? But here's the core of the problem. To many Senegalese citizens, and certainly to Ousmane Sonko, this doesn't look like genuine sovereignty. It looks like the same old story, merely dressed up in new words, because if the fundamental goal was to reduce France's influence, then why is the Senegalese president engaging in negotiations for a deeper, broader partnership? So, the real question is, has Bassirou Faye abandoned the revolutionary agenda? Or is he attempting a dangerous balancing act between Senegal's independence and persistent Western pressure? With all this in mind, one thing becomes clear. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye never intended to completely sever ties with France. That was never his stated vision. His goal was to reset the relationship, not end it entirely. Faye has been remarkably consistent about this from day one. He maintained that the old system, where France wielded overwhelming influence, had to go. However, he also consistently articulated a desire for a win-win partnership, one that would be mutually beneficial to both nations. And if you analyze his recent actions, that's precisely what he appears to be doing. Since taking office, Faye has repeatedly affirmed, "I will always be available to work with our European partners towards a win-win partnership that benefits our respective people." So, technically, Faye is sticking to his word. The problem, however, is that this is not what Ousmane Sonko envisioned. Sonko has consistently championed a complete break, a total end to France's deep-seated grip on Senegal. To him, true sovereignty means zero external interference. So, when he sees Faye meeting Macron, shaking hands, and signing cooperation deals, it undoubtedly feels like a betrayal of their shared anti-establishment platform. And perhaps this fundamental clash of visions for Senegal's future is precisely why the tension is now boiling over, leading Sonko to choose the party's anniversary as the moment to launch a public attack on Faye. But here's something many people often forget. Sonko was initially supposed to be the president. He was widely perceived as the people's choice, the charismatic leader who had galvanized a new political movement. So, how did we get here? How did Ousmane Sonko, the man everyone expected to become president, end up as prime minister instead. Let's rewind the clock. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on African intel, stories, history, and identity. Born in 1980, Bassirou Diomaye Faye never imagined he would one day become the president of Senegal. Back then, politics wasn't part of his personal plan. After graduating from university in 2000, he earned a master's degree in law and embarked on what seemed like a quiet career as a tax inspector in the Tax and Estates Department. It was during this period that fate brought him together with a man who would fundamentally change his life, Ousmane Sonko. Sonko, also a tax inspector at the time, was already a fiery voice for reform. The two men quickly forged a strong friendship, bonding over their shared frustration with systemic corruption and inefficiency within the government. Together, they co-founded the Taxes and Estates Union, where Faye became known for his strong advocacy, particularly pushing for policies that would make home ownership easier for tax and property agents. This initial collaboration laid the groundwork for the powerful political alliance that would eventually reshape Senegalese politics. Then came 2014, a pivotal turning point. Ousmane Sonko launched a new political movement, the Patriots of Senegal for Work, Ethics, and Fraternity, widely known by its French acronym, PASTEF. Faye initially joined as a supporter, but his keen intellect and exceptional organizational skills quickly stood out. Soon, he rapidly rose through the ranks, becoming one of the key ideologues of the party. He played a crucial role in shaping its vision for a sovereign, corruption-free Senegal. By 2019, Faye had become central to drafting Sonko's presidential program. Sonko ran for president that year and managed to significantly shake the political establishment, finishing a strong third. This powerful showing proved that PASTEF was a force to be reckoned with. Then came 2021, the year everything changed. Sonko was arrested on allegations of raping a minor, charges he has consistently denied and claimed were politically motivated. His arrest ignited nationwide protests and plunged Senegal into political chaos. In that tumultuous moment, someone had to step up to lead the besieged opposition. That someone was Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Faye courageously assumed the role of General Secretary of PASTEF, a position that placed him squarely at the heart of Senegal's opposition movement. He immediately set to work uniting fragmented opposition forces ahead of the 2022 legislative elections. The result was a stunning victory. 56 seats won under the Liberate the People Alliance, a major blow to the ruling elite. But this was only the beginning of Faye's incredible journey to the presidency. And as you'll soon see, it came with twists no one could have anticipated. While Ousmane Sonko was battling multiple court cases he vehemently claimed were politically motivated to prevent him from running in the 2024 elections, his closest ally, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, faced his own storm. In April 2023, Faye was arrested and imprisoned on charges of spreading false news, insulting a magistrate, and defaming a constituted body after making critical comments on social media. For months, he languished behind bars as the political landscape in Senegal grew increasingly tense and uncertain. Then, everything changed again. Sonko, the charismatic figure who had become the face of Senegal's anti-establishment movement, was also detained. In a shocking blow to his millions of supporters, he was subsequently barred from contesting the upcoming elections due to a defamation conviction. To compound the crisis, the party they had built together PASTEF, was officially dissolved by the Supreme Court in July 2023. Overnight, a movement that had galvanized millions seemed utterly crushed. Please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on African intel, stories, history, and identity. But the story didn't end there. Amidst the chaos, the disbanded PASTEF members refused to give up. They firmly believed that Sonko's detention and the dissolution of their party were part of a deliberate plan by the ruling elite, a desperate strategy to eliminate strong rivals and maintain power at any cost. So they made a bold and audacious decision. If Sonko couldn't run, they would rally behind another candidate, someone who shared the same revolutionary vision, the same unwavering ideals, and someone who had already proven his unyielding loyalty to the cause. That someone was Bassirou Diomaye Faye. This singular decision would change everything, not just for Senegal, but for the political future of West Africa. In the end, despite all the obstacles, only one man's candidacy made the final cut: Bassirou Diomaye Faye. And here's the incredible part. He was still in prison when his candidacy was officially confirmed. But even that couldn't stop the momentum of the movement. A powerful coalition of more than 100 political parties, including heavyweights like former Prime Minister Aminata Touré, rallied passionately behind Faye's candidacy under a bold and unifying banner: Diomaye is Sonko. Then came a turning point that nobody saw coming. Just weeks before the scheduled vote, the government, under immense public and international pressure, passed a general amnesty law specifically designed to ease heightened political tensions and release political prisoners. This law paved the way for the release of both Faye, after 11 long months in prison, and Ousmane Sonko. Suddenly, the two men were free, and the campaign was on. Faye and Sonko wasted no time. They hit the campaign trail like a political storm, crisscrossing the country, holding massive rallies and caravans that drew thousands. The energy was electric. The message was clear. Change was coming to Senegal. And even though the campaign period was short, nearly 7 million Senegalese citizens turned out to vote. This law paved the way for the release of both Faye, after 11 long months in prison, and Ousmane Sonko. Suddenly, the two men were free, and the campaign was on. Faye and Sonko wasted no time. They hit the campaign trail like a political storm, crisscrossing the country, holding massive rallies and caravans that drew thousands. The energy was electric. The message was clear. Change was coming to Senegal. And even though the campaign period was short, a significant portion of the Senegalese electorate participated, with 61.3% voter turnout in the March 2024 presidential election. Ahead of the election, Faye made another bold move. He published a full declaration of his assets, challenging other candidates to do the same. His declaration was striking in its simplicity. A modest home in Dakar, a small piece of land outside the capital, and bank accounts totaling roughly $6,600 in his hometown. This was the man poised to become president. A man with no vast fortune, no sprawling estates, no offshore accounts, just a clear vision, a clean record, and the trust of millions of Senegalese people. And then came the day that would change Senegal forever. On March 26, 2024, history was made. Bassirou Diomaye Faye was officially declared the winner of Senegal's presidential election, securing 54.28% of the vote. At his first public appearance after the victory, Faye stood before the nation and delivered a message that captured the mood of millions. In electing me, the Senegalese people have decided on a break with the past, he stated. "I promise to govern with humility and transparency." It was a powerful statement, a solemn promise of change. This was how Diomaye Faye, a man who started as a tax inspector, rose to become president of Senegal. At the time, everyone believed this victory was built on unity, on a partnership rooted in shared values of work, ethics, and fraternity. Those ideals were the very foundation of the alliance between Faye and Ousmane Sonko. For years, these two men had stood side by side, fighting for the same vision. When Faye was unjustly arrested in April 2023 for criticizing judges during Sonko's defamation trial, Sonko publicly stood by his friend, offering unwavering support. And when Sonko faced his own relentless legal battles, ultimately leading to his exclusion from the presidential race, Faye returned the loyalty, offering his steadfast support and even directly benefiting from Sonko's crucial endorsement. Their mutual trust seemed unshakable. Their collaboration appeared to be a partnership built to last. But as we've seen in recent weeks, that image is beginning to crack. And now, the question everyone is asking is this: what happened to this powerful alliance? Beyond politics, the bond between Bassirou Diomaye Faye and Ousmane Sonko runs deep. Their relationship isn't just professional, it's profoundly personal. Faye even named one of his sons Ousmane Sonko as a profound tribute to their enduring friendship. They share hobbies, too, like their passion for martial arts. Faye, for example, is known to practice Viet Vo Dao, a discipline that demands exceptional focus, unwavering strength, and remarkable resilience, qualities both men once vowed to instill in governance. But now, unsettling cracks are appearing. Sonko, the fiery populist who meticulously built his public image on strength and decisive authority, seems deeply disappointed in Faye's leadership style. According to Sonko, President Faye is too passive. He explicitly accuses him of lacking the crucial decisiveness needed to lead a country at such a critical juncture. But is that really true, or is the reality far more complicated? If you recall, Faye himself explained last year why many of his bold pledges have yet to materialize. His ambitious plans for sweeping institutional reform, including reducing the bloated number of ministries, abolishing the position of prime minister, and creating a vice presidency, all require crucial parliamentary approval. And here's the catch. While PASTEF secured a significant victory in the November 2024 legislative elections, winning 130 out of 165 seats and thus a clear majority, President Faye had previously dissolved the opposition-led parliament in September 2024 precisely because he faced challenges in enacting his reforms. This fundamental political reality continues to shape the pace of their shared revolutionary agenda. That means even as president, his hands were, for a period, tied. Every major reform had to navigate an opposition-dominated National Assembly that was not eager to see Faye succeed. So, is this a case of weak leadership, or is it a structural problem inherent in Senegal's political system? A system where even the president struggles to act without significant political compromise. This raises a bigger question. Is Ousmane Sonko's frustration truly about Faye's leadership style, or is it about the inherent limitations of democracy itself, especially when facing entrenched opposition? Take June 2024, for example. The political tension between the government and the opposition hit a boiling point. It started with a standoff over a budgetary debate. The opposition coalition outright canceled the debate, insisting that Prime Minister Sonko release his government's policy roadmap. Sonko pushed back, arguing that he wasn't legally required to do so at that stage. But that was just the beginning of the parliamentary deadlock. Please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on African intel, stories, history, and identity. President Faye later revealed that working with the opposition-dominated assembly had become almost impossible. Lawmakers reportedly refused to even initiate discussions on the national budget law and actively blocked his efforts to dissolve wasteful state institutions. Faced with this profound deadlock, President Faye made a shocking move. He went on state television and, on September 12, 2024, announced a decision that stunned the nation. "I dissolved the National Assembly to ask the sovereign people for the institutional means to bring about the systemic transformation that I have promised to deliver." That's right. Faye dissolved Parliament, paving the way for a snap legislative election. Reactions were swift and divided. Some applauded the decision, calling it a bold step to break the political gridlock and push forward his long-stalled reform agenda. Others condemned it as a dangerous power grab, a betrayal of democratic principles. But one thing became crystal clear. When pushed to the wall, Bassirou Diomaye Faye is not afraid to take strong, decisive action. This brings us to a very important point. Perhaps the tension between Faye and Sonko isn't simply about weakness versus strength. Maybe it's a deeper disagreement about ideals and principles, a fundamental clash over the most effective way to govern Senegal and implement their revolutionary vision. And this raises the ultimate question. Is this partnership on the brink of collapse, or will they find a way to hold it together for the sake of the country? Now, after Sonko's fiery remarks shook the political scene, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye stepped in to calm the storm. Speaking publicly, Faye dismissed any suggestion of a feud between himself and his prime minister. "The prime minister," he said, "is my friend. There is no conflict between us. The only worthwhile fight is the fight against the difficulties that the Senegalese people are enduring, that we ourselves are enduring as a government," he declared, calling for unity in the face of pressing economic and social challenges. On the surface, it sounded like a message of reconciliation, a plea to keep the focus on the people, not political drama. But here's the twist. Despite Faye's public denial, the tension refuses to dissipate. Sonko's criticism continues to dominate headlines and fuel intense debate across Senegal. His supporters are not holding back. They are slamming President Faye, accusing him of betraying the movement and reminding him repeatedly that he owes his presidency to Ousmane Sonko. On social media, in TV debates, and on the streets, voices are growing louder, questioning whether this once unshakable alliance is about to crack wide open. And with every passing day, the political temperature continues to rise. So what happens next? Will this political marriage survive the storm? Or are we about to witness one of the biggest fallouts in Senegal's recent history? On the other side, those close to President Faye are doing everything they can to calm the storm, just like the head of state himself, who insists he still considers Ousmane Sonko a friend. However, let's be honest, this public episode has put PASTEF under enormous pressure and sparked serious questions about the long-term future of this once unshakable alliance. Some insiders are already whispering that a political divorce might be just around the corner. One thing is clear. The Prime Minister and the President are no longer in perfect harmony. The unity that once defined them now looks fragile. So the big question is this the end of the Sonko-Faye partnership? And if it is, what does that mean for Senegal's future? Could this trigger a major political crisis, or even fundamentally reshape the country's democratic landscape? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories that explore untold African stories, culture, history, and power, make sure to subscribe to African Intel and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, and stay connected.